Let's turn now to Syria. Shocking news over the weekend. 3 Americans killed in an ISIS attack in Syria. Let's put this up here on the screen. 2 U.S. soldiers and a civilian interpreter were killed while, quote, supporting counterterror operations. The first U.S. casualties in Syria since the fall of Bashar al-Assad. So they said President Trump vowed Saturday to retaliate against ISIS after this attack in central Syria, killed 2 U.S. Army soldiers and a civilian U.S. interpreter. Again, I want everybody to stick with me because I think that we need to put a magnifying glass on this. Something about this just seems weird, doesn't seem to add all up. So the soldiers were, quote, supporting counterterrorism operations against ISIS in Palmyra, central Syria, when they came under fire from a lone gunman. Syrian security forces subsequently killed the gunman. 3 American military personnel, 2 members of the Syrian security force were also wounded in the attack. So that's a total of 5 people who we know, of 6 U.S. Service members and or personnel who were in the area, in addition to 2 of these Syrian pro-regime forces who were wounded in the attack. They say in the aftermath, American helicopters are then deployed to evacuate the wounded to Al-Tanif, that's in southern Syria, that's come under attack before. So what this quote highlights, as they say, is challenges for the Syrian government. What it highlights to me is what are we doing here? Right. We got 1,000 guys in Syria. For what exactly? And doing what, and listen, like I said, if you read the internal thing, it says the attack unfolded outside a building where Syrian Interior Ministry officials from the capital were meeting with their counterparts in the city. American soldiers and interpreter were providing security outside when a lone gunman opened fire from a nearby building with what appeared to be a machine gun. Syrian security forces opened fire, killed the gunman. The American soldiers killed were part of Iowa National Guard contingent assigned to the Syrian mission. Now, a spokesperson for the Syrians said that the Syrian government had warned American counterparts about the possibility of attacks by ISIS on their forces. Quote, the international coalition did not take Syrian warnings, the possibility of an ISIS breach, into account. This is what I mean about the circumstances of this is, first of all, you've got this meeting that's going on here, right? You've got the SDF, apparently, who were still kind of involved. We've got the Syrian regime guys. Then you've got U.S. service members providing security for a meeting of what? They said some coalition-style group. Why are we there in the first place? Why are we providing security, right? This is after the president had almost 7, 8 years ago, which I literally covered at the time at the White House, I said we were withdrawing from Syria. I mean, we've been in Syria for 11 years. We've had troops on the ground there. It's, again, shocking. And, of course, 1,000 people there. Nobody bats an eye here in Washington. If anything, they're celebrating it. Right. They should not be there. Doing what? They should not be in this circumstance. You Iowa National Guardsmen providing security outside of a building, for what exactly? Without a requisite amount of support. And then you've got at least the Syrians, who knows, they might be covering their ass. They're like, hey, we told them, it was a possibility, right? So everything around this smells. Something is not right, in my opinion, just in terms of why they were there in the first place, the lack of support, why we have 1,000 people in Syria at all, especially in the midst of all this. Supposedly the Israelis love the Syrian president, right? Let them go, right? And support ISIS.
Except they've been bombing him constantly.
Right, except that they're bombing them too, right? But that kind of gets to the whole, what are we doing? What exactly are we still doing in Syria? Nobody can answer this question. To fight ISIS.
And I don't understand the National Guard part.
Same.
There's the 30,000-foot part that is utterly bizarre. But we have a Delta force, we have infantry, we have Marines, we have a $1 trillion plus military.
Yep.
Why are we calling up people from Iowa in the National Guard to go over to Syria? That just seems off. And Iowa absolutely cannot catch a break. Their economy is in depression-like circumstances.
Because of the tariffs.
The tariffs and just in general, they've got some long-term structural problems. They're being propped up by ethanol, basically. The mandate that you put basically corn into your car, and the transition towards electric vehicles is not helping there either. Lots of other issues going on with Iowa. But so the political context in Syria. You've got the Syrian Democratic Forces, which is basically the Kurds and the coalition that works with the Kurdish forces in the north, which is allied with the United States. They used to be in conflict with al-Shara and those other forces. They're now
they fought each other for years.
Yeah, they're now
murdered each other.
And they still have this Rojava area, which is they consider to be this which is a liberated zone. The Syrian central government is saying you've got to integrate with the rest of the country. We've got to have a country. Right. And so then they're negotiating the terms of that. How much autonomy would they have? What would the central government's role be or control over the area be? Meanwhile, Turkey is like, absolutely not. Like Turkey, Erdogan despises the SDF and basically wants them not to exist. Turkey is going through its own negotiations with its own Kurdish forces, the PKK, just north of Syria in eastern Turkey. And so as those tenuous negotiations falter and go haltingly forward, you had Turkey threatening to invade just recently. And so into that you have ISIS, which is a useful kind of mercenary tool for all of these different forces. Like basically the understanding of the remnants of ISIS is that you can find different factions of it. You could basically just pay off to do the things that you need done. You see that happening in Pakistan, Afghanistan, maybe Australia. Like they become this like kind of useful vehicle. And so who benefits from this attack? Well, we know who could be hurt by it would be the SDF, Kurds, because the Kurds, they want these 1,000 or 2,000 American troops to stay because that's some protection
for them
against the Syrian government and the Turkish government. And so driving them out would be to the benefit of Turkey and to a slightly lesser degree to the Syrian central government. So if you're just going by cold calculus of who might have been, who had the incentive to do this, Turkey's probably number one, Syria central government.
Who knows, right? By the way, they're saying that he's a former member of the Syrian government who then went ISIS. So, again, same.
Right. And
look, I do think, to me, what it highlights is why we have National Guardsmen there in the first place. Right. They should not be there. The National Guard should be cleaning up hurricanes, whatever. Like, they shouldn't be deployed in an undeclared war, providing security for God knows what, and then putting themselves in harm's way. And nobody can coherently explain to the American people, here's why there's 1,000 people. Well, they were there to defeat ISIS. Like, well, I thought we defeated ISIS, but now they were killed by ISIS. And now that means we need to stay more so that we can kill even more of them, so that we can put more of our guys in harm's way. And we just never leave. I mean, it's an 11-year deployment now.
We can coherently explain, why we should leave. And
yeah, that's right. That's easy.
A much younger Trump did exactly that. Let's roll President Trump almost. So this was December 19th. 2018, so
7 years ago.
Almost exactly 7 years ago. Here's the 45th president of the United States.
We've been fighting for a long time in Syria. I've been president for almost 2 years, and we've really stepped it up. And we have won against ISIS. We've beaten them, and we've beaten them badly. We've taken back the land, and now it's time for our troops to come back home. I get very saddened when I have to write letters or call parents or wives or husbands of soldiers who have been killed, fighting for our country. It's a great honor. We cherish them, but it's heartbreaking. There's no question about it. It's heartbreaking. Now we've won. It's time to come back. They're getting ready. You're going to see them soon. These are great American heroes. These are great heroes of the world because they fought for us.
So Donald Trump making a lot of sense back then. You covered this at the time?
I was there.
So
I was literally there.
So what happened?
Nothing. Mattis resigned as a result
over
of
this, right?
He was over this policy.
Mad Dog was furious.
This, by the way, was I remember this was a huge brouhaha at the time because that people were like, oh, he's abandoning the Kurds, right? There was that whole Kurdish discourse, and there was all these John McCain types who were like, this is why we need to stay in Syria. Like you're emboldening them, you are abandoning our allies, and you're strengthening the Assad regime. And there was a big nationalist right, brouhaha about it as as well. They're like, well, it shouldn't have taken this long. The fact is that the military was stonewalling it, which they were. And he would multiple times be like, we need to get out of Syria. And Madison then would be like, yeah, in 6 months or something like that. And this is ultimately what broke the camel's back, the straw that broke the camel's back for their relationship. But ultimately, I mean, Madison won in the end. They all did. Never left. We just never leave. Like, once you're in, you have to have this base. I mean, let's remember the Al-Tanif. Remember those multiple soldiers who were killed in Jordan a couple years back? As a result of this Iranian drone. Remember that? I mean, for some reason, once we establish a place, we can never leave. No matter how many 1 death, 2 death, 3 deaths that these people are in harm's way. No one can explain it. No one can ever explain it to anybody.
The New York Times coverage at the time is indicative of the way that this city and this country's elite kind of view these ongoing occupations. We could put up C4. The lead of the story tells you everything. President Trump has ordered the withdrawal of 2,000 American troops from Syria, bringing a sudden end to a military campaign that largely vanquished the Islamic State, but ceding a strategically vital country to Russia and Iran. And so it's like, so that's the Times telling you, like,
I told you,
how can we can't lose Syria to Russia.
That's what it was like.
And Iran. Yeah. And the military was like, actually, you're right. Yeah, we're not going anywhere. We're just gonna hang out.
Yeah, and we didn't, and we're still there. I mean, what's really, look, I'm not saying the lives of guardsmen are more important or anything like that, but this is not what they were designed for. Imagine, you respond to the commercial, the National Guard commercial, like, yeah, that's a good way to pay for college or
one weekend,
like that.
One weekend a month, 2 weeks in the summer.
Horrible way for me to bolster my income. I want to serve my country, and next thing you know, you find yourself on a deployment to freaking Syria in an undeclared war and providing security for what? For what type of? For who knows who's inside that meeting? You got Al Qaeda. Allegedly ISIS is here. Iran, I mean, the Syrian Democratic, you're literally a geopolitical pawn for purposes that nobody can, actually explain. I just think it's sickening. By the way, can't let Pete Hegseth here off the hook. C2 up here on the screen, his tweet in response to this attack. The savage who perpetrated this attack was killed by partner forces. Let it be known, if you target Americans anywhere in the world, you'll spend the rest of your brief, anxious life knowing the United States will hunt you, find you, and ruthlessly kill you. It's like, okay.
I mean, no, actually, that's not what happened. Like,
yeah, it's not really what happened.
Killed immediately,
unfortunately,
by Syrians.
Right, and in response to this, lawmakers on Sunday and others, when asked for this, were like, yes, this is why we need to stay and continue the fight against ISIS. It's a self-licking ice cream cone. I believe that's what they used to say in the past. So it's just, we were bonding, Ryan and I, over this about how you can, when you're in business long enough, you could see stuff that we thought was all resolved almost a decade ago, bubble back up with the same dumb arguments, the same people who are involved, and the only people who pay the price are probably the thousands of American service members who have had to be deployed to Syria for no reason. Who knows, maybe probably a dozen or so now that have been killed in this deployment. At least the ones who were fighting ISIS, you could justify this. This one, again, explain that to their parents about what exactly that they were doing there. Syrian Democratic who? International coalition? You're protecting Al Qaeda? The Al Qaeda gunman killed the ISIS? I mean, it makes no sense. It boggles the mind.
The Syrian story has to be the most psychedelic.
Yeah.
Because I have a former Al Qaeda guy who was just in the White House and is now running the country. Like, what? Huh? How did? Okay. Yeah. What?
Welcome to America. All right, let's get to Barry Weiss. Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.